All right, welcome everyone to the May Council meeting. Could everyone please stand for the opening prayer and original custodian statement? Almighty God, grant to this council wisdom, understanding and sincerity of purpose for the good governance of this city. Amen. And council acknowledges the Peek-Wurrong and Kurrawarrong peoples of the Maar Nation, their land, waterways and skies within the Warrnambool municipality, and we pay our respects to their elders past and present. Thanks everyone, please be seated. We'll move on to item 2, apologies, and there are no apologies this afternoon. Move on to item 3, the confirmation of minutes. Did anyone have any concerns or changes with the last lot of minutes? Can we get a mover to move the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Edis. Any councillor wish to speak? We'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Sorry. We'll move on to item 4, declaration by councillors and officers of any conflicts of interest on any item on the agenda. Did anyone have any conflicts they wanted to declare this afternoon? All right, we'll now move on to item 5, which is the mayoral presentation. It's a really exciting week here in Warrnambool this week. May races coming up this Thursday, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, town's going to be absolutely a buzz and a light. It's going to be a really big week for the city, and thank you to everyone who came down over Easter last month as well. It was really great to see the town, up and going. All right, we'll move on to item 6, public question time. Mr. Mason, were there any public questions?
Mayor, we have one public question for tonight's meeting. The question is from Cheryl McCallum, who's from Warrnambool. And I'll paraphrase Ms McCallum's question, noting that it's also been circulated to councillors. It's basically that Warrnambool, Ms McCallum would like Warrnambool to have an Australia Day event, and she notes that there are other events celebrating cultures from other countries that are held in Warrnambool, and she would notes that some of these have received council funding through the events and festivals grants program. So that's the nature of her question.
Thank you, Mr. Mason. Look, I can answer this one. So Australia Day has been something that our celebration every year has been 100% funded by council, and we have had a range of different venues over the last few years on a range of different days. And as with every year, this will be a discussion for the upcoming year on what Australia Day looks like from a celebration sense and when it'll be held coming into January 26th this year.
27.
Sorry?
January 27.
January 26th is the day.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
Sorry, January 26th, 2027.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine, Councillor Jelly. Thanks, Councillor Arnott. So all right, we'll move on to item 7, the draft budget 2026-2027. Mr. Mason.
Thank you. Through you, I'm really happy to present this draft budget for council tonight. A lot of work has gone into developing this budget, and as councillors know, there's been quite a number of workshops to get to this point. I think it's fair to say that this budget's been developed in a difficult financial climate. We've seen costs escalating faster than our primary sources of income, and this has been compounded by the fuel crisis, where we've seen significant additional costs or predicting additional costs because of that. What I'm happy to say is that despite these challenges, we're presenting a balanced budget with a strong emphasis on continuing to deliver services to the community and to maintain the assets and infrastructure that we own, as well as responding to and servicing a growing population. It's recommended that the draft budget be put out for exhibition with a view of having it adopted at a meeting in June.
Thank you, Mr. Mason. Are there any questions on the budget before we look for a mover? Do we have a mover? Councillor Arnott?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move the officer's recommendation regarding the draft budget.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Jelly? Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we commenced the budget process through a series of open sessions and pop-up sessions across November and December of 25. And when we release the draft budget for community consultation, it's just not about numbers on a page, it's about people, priorities and the future we are shaping. Now, on one side we have revenue, what we can collect through rates, fees and funding, and on the other we have community needs, the services, infrastructure and investments that matter most to the community. And those needs are growing. The reality is we can't do everything at once. Every decision involves trade-offs. Investing in one area may mean scaling back in another. Balancing revenue and need isn't easy, but by working together we can create a budget that is responsible, sustainable and aligned with community values. So I am happy to endorse the draft budget for community consultation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Jelly.
Yes, thank you. There's been a lot of work put into this by staff, and thank you to staff putting forward a lot of all this information. We have worked in workshops as councillors with the staff and asked lots of questions and gone back and forth with a lot of thoughts. So that's been really good. Good for us all to work together on that. The cost of living at this time is difficult and affects our whole community and Warrnambool City Council. So, you know, things have gone up in cost, fuel, all those sort of things. So we need to look very carefully at how to keep this budget balance. So yes, I agree. I would hope that the community would have a look at this and give us any feedback that they might think appropriate.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Look, again, I thank the staff who have worked under particularly difficult constraints about generating a rational budget. It's been not an easy 12 months in the past, and it looks like it's going to be just as bad, if not worse, in the future, particularly with what's happening overseas. The draft budget represents a lot of good work by them. One particular thing I'd like to point out, which I think is very helpful, is on page 8 of the agenda, which is the table which says how we invest each $100. That's a really useful way of looking at how much we spend on one thing as opposed to another. It's an easy comparison for people to make, and simple minds like my own find that really useful. I think that it's particularly pertinent to ask the public to look at the draft budget and make their submissions. If they don't like what they see in it, let us know so that we can take action on it.
No, thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Benter.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to confer with fellow councillors. Yes, there's been a lot of work going into this budget, especially with the timing and with the fuel crisis going on. So it's had to adapt really fast to get the results it got. Escalating costs has proven more difficult every year, and we are starting to manage that and look at ways to save costs. But with that, there is also some positives out of it, with the Bushfield Reserve cricket netting upgrade, some funding for the new intersection design at Waxman Street and Nicholson, which is much needed to progress to the next stage, and funding for the industrial land use strategy, which is well overdue as well, so it's really good. It's good to see that we've been able to hold it under to the rate cap, to the 2.75, without actually increasing that or asking for a review on that rate cap, which is great. And also to follow up Councillor Ziegler, submissions. People, if you want to put any recommendations into the budget, please have a read, have a look. We're also having hearings on the 25th of May, so it gives you the opportunity to speak as well on the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benter. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. Just echoing the comments of Councillor Benter and Councillor Ziegler about the community really leaning into the submission process and reviewing the budget. A lot of work has gone into this budget. lots of early engagement with the community and taking that forward and creating this budget. Things are getting tougher in that local government area, so this is probably the first of many where we need to be really aware of where the money is going to make sure that we're sustainable for as long as we possibly can. So it's a very good budget, and there's some good things in there for the community. But yeah, please, if you've got a submission to make, please make it. We are certainly all ears.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Councillor Edis.
Thank you, Mayor. My thoughts are the same as my fellow councillors, that it has been a power of work completed by staff, and with briefings weekly, we provide suggestions, they go back and revise and come back again. So there's been a lot of consultation with councillors to achieve the budget. It's got to be aspirational, but also achievable over the next 12 months. And as been touched on, like $1 12 months ago is not worth the same as what it is now, and changing weekly. So it becomes a challenge just to balance the budget while sort of remaining committed to providing services to the community, because we've all been very, very clear that we do not want to impact any services that we provide to the community. What's pleasing, I think the budget outlines $13.47 million in asset renewal, which is an increase on up $3 million, because if we don't maintain the assets we have, they continue to deteriorate, and then there's an enormous cost when it comes time to rectify them. So new capital projects, a few, but they've been prioritised from the feedback from the community. But once again, I want to finish on a great job completed by staff to get this budget up, because it is one of our biggest pieces of work we do for the year. Thank you, Councillor Edis. And this is something we can probably talk a bit later with the state of the assets when it comes up as well, talking about asset renewal. Councillor Arnott, do you wish to add anything to close?
I think that's been enough said at this stage. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. With no further speakers, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.2, the Draft Annual Action Plan 2026-2027. Mr Mason.
Thank you. The annual action plan describes a range of actions and things that council is planning on doing, and all of these actions then contribute to the delivery of the 4-year council plan. The annual action plan also becomes an important way for councils to monitor progress with quarterly reporting once adopted. So a recommendation is before you, similar to the budget. We would be recommending you put it out for exhibition prior to adoption.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, Mayor. I'll move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnott. Councillor Ziegler.
Thank you. Yes, this is the second in a series of motions that we have this evening, which are asking for submissions from the public. It's desperately important that the interested public make submissions about this draft plan and all the other ones. And again, I exhort my fellow residents of Warrnambool to have a look at this, and if you don't like what you see, let us know. And if you do like it, let us know just the same.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor. So releasing the annual draft action plan, it is actually an important step into turning long-term strategy into measurable outcomes. It outlines the key projects, services and initiatives planned for the year, and it shows how priorities will be delivered in a practical and transparent way. The plan provides a clear link between planning and performance, and so we're inviting the community to share their perspectives. This can help refine the priorities, can show us emerging needs, and ensure the final plan is well informed and representative of the community's expectations. So if you have something you wish to submit to the council, please do.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Any other councillor wish to speak? I'd just like to add as well that the design has actually changed in the way that we're doing the draft annual action plan from previous years, where it is still based off our 4-year plan that we adopted at the start of this council term, but it's yearly action items for us to be working on to make sure that we're completing as we move through the council term. But we are open to any feedback that we do receive. Councillor Ziegler, do you wish to add anything to close?
One short statement here, Mayor. it's important to note that our asset management has become a focus of this particular council to prioritise asset renewal so that we're not prioritising new investments over maintaining what we've already got, and also that we're keeping rate increases within the cap so that people are not overburdened in times of hardship which we're facing at present.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. With no further speakers, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, passed unanimously. Move on to item 7.3, the Borrowing Policy 2026. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. Borrowing is an important source of funds, but it requires careful oversight and controls from council, and this is the purpose of this policy. The existing borrowing policy has been reviewed with relatively minor changes recommended, which also ensure that it is in alignment with the Local Government Act. Again, it's recommended that this be put on exhibition in the same sort of process as the budget and annual action plan.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Reedus.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that council place a draft borrowing policy on exhibition until 5 p.m. Friday the 15th of May 2026 and invite submissions from the public.
Thank you, Councillor Reedus. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnott. Councillor Reedus.
Thank you, Mayor. Borrowing money is just part of life. Whether you're borrowing money to buy a house or a car, it's just what we have to do, and council is no different. So we know the budget states that we are looking to borrow $6.275 million this year. So this borrowing policy, it just provides guidelines and procedures to ensure that the principles of decision-making are to be applied when we're considering borrowing these money. I think it's important, it's a commitment not to borrow for operational purposes, but purely large infrastructure and one-off extraordinary events. And I think the other important part is it provides a debt repayment guideline, because we understand that the money has to be paid back, it's not free. So I think that's really important, and to that end, we've got prudent debt limits such as a debt-to-rate ratio no greater than 50%, and also a debt servicing ratio of no greater than 8%. So it's an important policy, and we welcome it to go out to the public for submission.
Thank you, Councillor Reedus. Councillor Arnott.
Yes, fully endorse everything my Councillor Reedus has said. As our CEO has said, it has been reviewed and updated in accordance with the Local Government Act 2020. As well, it will be reviewed by the Audit and Risk Committee. The policy is broadly unchanged, only a few minor details. So once again, out for consultation. So if you have a comment, please do so.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, Mayor, in light of the statements we've made on constraint with the budget and with spending and asset management in the past two motions, this borrowings policy it's a policy that we have to have according to legislation. It doesn't mean that we're going out borrowing. It just means that we have to have the policy. It's been presented as a draft, and it needs submissions from the public. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to run out and take out more borrowings at all.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? And thank you, everyone, for your comments on this. And to be clear on the way the policy sits at the moment, before it goes out to public exhibition, there isn't an increase in the borrowing capacity of council. It's only 50% of rates revenue. The capacity to borrow more is actually there, and as Councillor Reedus pointed out, borrowings don't go into any operational area of council. It's only capital for those important projects. Councillor Reedus, do you wish to add anything to close?
No, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Reedus. With no further speakers, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.4, the Investment Policy 2026. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. The investment policy provides guidance around how council will invest funds that are not required for immediate use. The policy broadly limits investments to low-risk environments, and it's recommended that council put the policy on public exhibition for you.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, Mayor, I'll move that the council place the draft investment policy on exhibition until 5 p.m. Friday the 15th of May 2026.
Thank you.
And invite submissions from the public.
My apologies, Councillor Ziegler. Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Benter. Councillor Ziegler.
Same can be said for this particular motion. We want feedback if residents and the public have feedback on this particular policy. Let's hear them, please, so that we can make decisions on it.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Benter.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, sentiments exactly, Councillor Ziegler, for feedback. It's just a minor review of the policy itself. There is some changes from increasing the investment capacity in one of the areas, from the A2 facility from 20% to 25%. Just gives us more flexibility with that structure. Happy to see it go out.
Thank you, Councillor Benter. Any other councillor wish to speak? And I'd just like to add as well that, you know, best return for minimal risk. At the end of the day, it is public money. It's not our own, and public money does need to be protected, but it does need to be working in some way for Warrnambool to make sure that we are getting the best that we can. So I'm really excited to see if anyone has any different views on that when it goes out for exhibition. Councillor Ziegler, do you wish to add anything to close?
No, thank you, Mayor.
All right, with no further speakers, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, that's passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.5, the Annual Action Plan 2025-2026, status update quarter 3. Sorry, oh, Mr. Mason. Sorry.
Mayor, just wanting to be invited.
Sorry.
Mayor, this is just part of our usual quarterly reporting for the, and is in this case for the third quarter. I think it's fair to say that we're comfortable that good progress has been made on across most actions, and recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Mr. Mason. Were there any questions on that? Do we have a mover? Councillor Arnott.
I'll like to move that the Annual Action Plan 2025-2026, January to March quarter be received.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Jelly. Councillor Arnott.
Okay, I'm not going to go through the whole report. There's just a few things I'd like to highlight. We celebrate many events and attractions, particularly quarter 3, including the Speedway racing. The iconic May Racing Carnival is coming up, and our foreshore and our beach. We've had many listing on our What's On platform. So, you know, in January we had 207 events, February 163 events, and March 199 events. And well done to the EcoDev team and everyone involved there. That's great. Now, the other interesting factor I thought was really positive, on our What's On calendar, from January to March, we had 84,614 clicks. That shows an awful lot of interest in what's happening in Warrnambool, and it does highlight the popularity of Warrnambool, particularly through summer. There's also work being done to develop a nighttime visitor economy plan, and that should be completed by the end of June, which I'm really looking forward to. And as well, I'll have to mention it, our Salter Search Party. We've actually got 16 food vans, an extra 6, a fantastic lineup of local musicians. And remember, it is a free family event, so get along and support it. Sorry, just had to put it in there. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Do you still wish to speak, Councillor Jelly?
Well, as I was writing my notes, I knew what Councillor Arnott would say, so I stayed right away from the Solstice Search Party. It is a fabulous event, and I've got it in the calendar. So I let her talk about that because I knew she'd like to. So, yeah, some great things there. Look, some good things coming up in the next few months that have moved along in their progress of projects and different things, finalising the Bushfield-Woodford strategic plan. That'll come to council in the coming months, so that will be really exciting for especially that area out there. Installation of the roundabout up at the intersection of Croydon and Wright Street. I actually walked up there this morning and I've spoken to the director here this afternoon, and it's well on the way to be completed. It's well worth a walk up there, wander up there. Roundabouts in the middle, and they're really getting forward with it. And so it's going to be a boon to have that in that spot, in the hospital precinct, for safer, for pedestrians and drivers. Traffic management and calming will come from having that there. It's been long waited, but it will make it much safer at that thing. So looking forward to that being finished in the next couple of weeks. And the other thing that's coming up and is always a good thing, and it's part of what happens, is delivering the Volunteer Expo to promote council and community volunteer opportunities. That's at the Emmanuel Centre on the 23rd of May. It's usually a great turnout there. There's a lot of groups that come, and as we all know, volunteers are the backbone of our community. So that's great to have that coming up again.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Arnott, do you wish to add anything to close? When's the date of the solstice search party?
Oh, they all
again?
want to talk about it and they're not going.
Oh, well, that doesn't matter. Look, I'll just close by congratulating everyone. I think we've had a great summer. Certainly trade's been good. So well done, everyone, and look forward to what happens in the next quarter.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. With no further speakers, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. All right, we'll now move on to item 7.6, the Reconciliation Strategy and Action Plan 2026 to 2030. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. The Reconciliation Strategy and Action Plan is a really important document for this council. It's been developed in collaboration with Eastern Mar and Gunditjmara. It sets out aspirations and a plan to build strong and enduring relationships and to take action to address issues of importance to council and our Indigenous community. There's a lot of work gone into this plan, and I think it's a really important document, and I'm very happy to be recommending that you adopt it at tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Jelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to recommend that Council adopt the Warrnambool City Council Reconciliation Strategy and Action Plan 2026 to 2030.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnott. Councillor Jelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm really pleased that this has come to us now. As first-time Mayor back in 2021, in actually Reconciliation Week in May, I was very pleased to make the formal commitment for Warrnambool City Council to set forth in the process to achieve what we are tonight about to implement. There was a lot of work done initially. We had internal processes here at Council working through that because it's quite a complicated process. You need direction to be able to do it. But in the end, we had Misford Consulting come on board to undertake the review of the current policies and develop the Reconciliation Strategy and Action Plan in its entirety. Thanks to Jason Misford for committing to this important work and outcome. Also, thank you to Eastern Mar Aboriginal Corporation and Gunditjmara Aboriginal Cooperative for their input and endorsement of this plan. There's a lot of different focus areas in this which we need to work through and focus on. Now we've got the plan to guide us. Focus areas such as empowering First Nations peoples to thrive, strengthen their health, wellbeing and inclusion and cultural safety. Just so many things that we now have a guideline to work for. So I'm pleased this work is complete and we now must implement what's within this document and we'll learn as we go. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Councillor Arnott.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Obviously, I endorse everything Councillor Jelly has said. This document has been in the making, 5 years for us, hasn't it? And it has taken a lot of work to get to this point. I'd also like to extend my gratitude to Misford Consulting and the traditional owner group, and it's about recognition and visibility of First Nations people and culture in Warrnambool. We also need to thank East Tamar Aboriginal Corporation and the Gunditjmara Aboriginal Corporation who have expressed support for the plan. As Councillor Jelly has said, now the implementation of the plan, we've got a plan, we've got guidelines. Council is already pursuing a lot of these things, but going forward we just have to make sure that we do keep on with it. So happy to endorse. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. It's worth noting that the action plan is a dynamic document, and while we're adopting it now, it's open to change as councils move on through the subsequent years and change, to modify, to make it suit the purposes of the First Nations people more accurately. It's not a static, concrete document by any means.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't want to add too much more because Councillor Arnott, Councillor Jelly and Councillor Ziegler have covered most of it off, but just that we anticipating launching the plan during Reconciliation Week, which is the 27th of May to the 3rd of June 2026, so that's really important timing for our First Nations people as well. So as others have touched on, huge amount of work. Appreciate the groups leaning in and helping us get to this point. So.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Jelly, do you wish anything to close? Oh, sorry, Councillor Bender.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, look, it's an important document, and I concur with all fellow councillors' comments, but it does border on the line of, in some areas, I understand what we're trying to do with the policy, but when it's reading the lines, and I might be reading them too hard, that some of the actions actually creates favouritism towards the Aboriginal community over other community members. So I'm cautious of that in regards how that's applied, that we're not discriminating against other people in those roles or apply for those positions or go for those contracts. I think everyone should be treated fair and equally, no matter where they're from, in regards to that. So I'm just cautious on that. Like the whole policy, the plan is really great, but I've got some concerns with that when we start pinpointing areas where that it's not an unequal playing field in regards to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benter. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Jelly, do you wish anything to close?
Yes, look, the implementation of this action plan aims to address many issues by fostering relationships, respect and opportunities for everyone involved. I think it's a very positive outcome and something we'll all work together to achieve.
No, thank you very much, Councillor Jelly. And to echo Councillor Walsh, I'm looking forward to the launch for NAIDOC Week as well. With no further speakers, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. All right, we'll now move on to item 7.7, the Revenue and Rating Plan. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. The Revenue Rating Plan sets out Council's approach to how we collect rates and other income. The plan has been reviewed, and as I think we've previously discussed numerous times here, an error in the definition of net annual values has been corrected in this version of the plan. I think the review's made modest changes elsewhere across the plan, so recommendation that it be put out for exhibition along with the other financial document.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Are there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Arnott. Councillor Arnott.
Okay, Mayor, I'll move to I'll move the recommendation that council place the draft revenue and rating plan 2025 to 2029 on exhibition until 5 p.m, Friday 15th of May 2026, and invite submissions from the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Arnott.
Okay, so I wasn't really planning to speak to this, but this is about how we determine the most appropriate revenue and rating approach for the Warrnambool City Council. It is in conjunction with other income sources and provide the strategic basis for adequate financing of the objectives outlined in our council plan. So it probably sounds a dry piece of work. It is. But if anyone has any submissions they'd like to put forward, please do so.
Thank you very much, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, Mayor, quite apart from the fact that we've again asked for submissions from the public and comments about the revenue and rating plan, it does warrant some comment about the fact that it's a harder environment financially, economically for us, because revenue sources such as the state government, federal government, have largely solidified to the point that we struggle and we're largely ignored down in the southwest. So they don't typically do us many favours, and we're relying on the excellent work of our operational staff with budgets weaving magic to make our city work economically. I think that we could welcome some submissions from the public to help that along.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ziegler. Does any other councillor wish to speak? It is a really important document because it actually sets the differentials between the different rating categories across our city. There is no change planned at this point in time, but we are going out for public exhibition if there is any feedback around what that's actually going to look like. Sorry, no other councillors want to speak before I go back to Councillor Arnott?
I have nothing further to say, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. We'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.8, the proposal to sell land 81 to 85 Timor Street, Warrnambool. Mr Mason.
Thank you. And as councillors have heard at a hearings meeting this afternoon, that this is a parcel of land that council currently owns, but is leased and occupied by the Warrnambool Bowls Club. The Bowls Club have approached council to purchase the land, which will allow them to progress plans to improve their facilities. This process, this issue has gone through a very extensive process. We've had the land independently valued and have sought independent legal advice. And given that the land isn't required by council and will allow a community-based club to progress development of this land, it's recommended that council go out and proceed with the sale of this land. That is set out in a 6-part recommendation before you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Arnott?
I'd like to move the officer's recommendation, please.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Edis? Councillor Arnott?
Okay, this piece of land is currently leased to the Warrnambool Bowls Club for $52 per year until 2043. It's a very nominal amount. It's barely $1 a week. So the total income over 18 years, if we leave that lease in place, is only $936. If we sell this land, it will provide a significant financial boost for our council, and it does provide an opportunity in the use of these funds, possibilities of what could be achieved for future community benefit. So the club has offered $500,000 plus GST to purchase the land to be paid in 3 instalments. Now, there will be a 15-year restriction which limits the use to community bowling and public recreation uses. Community consultation returned an exceptionally high level of support, with 52 of 55 submissions in favour of Bowls Club purchasing this land. I think if this land is sold, I think it's an excellent outcome for the community. It will provide economic and social benefit for many years to come, and there will be a strong economic flow on. So I'm happy to endorse. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Reedus.
Thank you, Mayor. As Councillor Arnott said, the land's tied to a long lease with very, very little income, but more importantly, it encumbers any future development by the Waterville Bowls Club because they don't own the land. So the proposal to the land provides the council with a capital injection, which is important, as Councillor Arnott said, but more importantly, it allows the Waterville Bowls Club to be able to invest in their facility in the future if they see fit, because they have plans in place, but it just gives them the possibility to go down that line. So there's been strong support from the community, noting a few concerns from the local residents, but if in time we end up with another all-round multi-purpose facility for Waterville, I think it can only be a win.
Thank you, Councillor Edis. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is a fairly difficult one for me because there have been questions raised about the probity and land values around this particular sale, and asking particularly is it a fair outcome for Warrnambool. I've made as many inquiries as I can about these issues, and on balance, which is the only standard available to a councillor, I have to support the motion. It's apparent that the officers have gone through all the questions of independent consultation with our lawyers, with all the rest of it, all the rules according to the state. There is no other way for me to vote.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to highlight, obviously there were some objections received. Those objections focus mainly on areas of, I guess, planning. So I would urge those people who did object in regards to the sale to go through that planning process when it does arise, because there's a high likelihood that most of the issues that they've highlighted will be able to be addressed through that. The sale of the land is certainly not the appropriate decision, but they will get the opportunity. I think this is a good thing for Warrnambool, and we should be seen to be supporting local clubs and groups with these sorts of endeavours.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Any other councillor? Councillor Bento.
Yeah, I'd like to concur with fellow councillors and like to thank everyone that engaged with the submissions and also that came into the hearing today. It will be difficult for the neighbours once the planning starts for the all-weather facility, but there is a need for that in regards to that, and hopefully the planning and so forth will make it amicable for everybody for it to proceed when they do come to that time. So I'll be supporting.
Thank you, Councillor Benter. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Arnott, do you wish to add anything to close?
No, I think everything's been well covered off. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Actually, one thing I would just like to reiterate, sorry, I should have done it earlier, was that there is going to be a caveat over this land that will be staying as a bowling green for the next 15 years, even if the sale does, when the sale does progress. So there wouldn't be any opportunities for it to turn into housing or anything. It would have to stay for its current use for the next 15 years while the caveat still applies. With no further speakers, we'll now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.9, the 46 Patobe Road planning permit. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. This report was deferred by council at the last meeting, and since that time there have been a number of briefings and on-site meetings to consider this matter in further. This report recommends that a planning permit be issued to allow a key worker housing project to progress, and that project has received a grant funding from the state government to allow it to occur. A recommendation is before council, which is the same as what you had last time, or at the last meeting.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Benter.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to propose an alternative motion to this agenda item, 7.9. Copies of the alternate motion have been distributed to all the councillors. It is a modified version of the original recommendation. The main change in this alternate motion is that we retain, or council retains, the 6 Norfolk Pines during this permit application.
Thank you, Councillor Benter. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Jelly. Councillor Benter.
Thank you, Mayor. Had a busy few weeks since this recommendation was deferred to this month. I've reviewed and looked at many options and still came up with the same conclusion: keep the trees. That's the reason for the motion. As mentioned at last month's meeting, if we cut down the trees, it goes against all our policy making for greening, warnable tree planting, protecting the environment, canopy cover and more. It just can't happen. I fully understand the need for the key workers, the housing, and the benefits that it will bring to Warrnambool, and also that's needed for the businesses. But to cut down 4 100-year-old trees for this, I think we can do better with this whole project in regards to that. After several site visits and talking to others, I believe we can achieve an acceptable outcome that can be balanced by reducing some of the cabin numbers, repositioning, that we can actually keep the trees in that development. I understand there will be increased maintenance, but I think that's a worthy compromise to keep the trees. We already have cabins under Norfolk Pines, in Surfside 1, but we're not cutting those trees down. So for the maintenance side, I think it's very minimal in regards to that. So we need to keep these trees, okay, for the community and for the amenity of that area. Okay, even when we do have the cabins there, the amenity of those trees around those cabins is just going to increase the amenity for their livability for the key workers when they're coming and going as such. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benter. Councillor Jelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I concur with Councillor Benter. At last month's meeting, as the CEO indicated, it was voted to allow a further month to get some alternative ideas and options to be brought to councillors. Not one councillor in this room does not want the provision of key worker housing. It's important to all of us, and we're very grateful for the money progress to the council from the government for this, the $5 million. That's a very big priority for the whole city, for all of us. It was 18 months ago that the state government announced this funding, and it was indicated by them that it would be in our caravan park, Surfside 2, or caravan park, like that or not. So it's also been indicated that we could fit 15 cabins or up to 15 cabins on there, and depending on what comes of that in a design stage of that, how many bedrooms we get in those cabins. So tonight's decision is about the trees, not about where it's been sited or whatever. It's so in this area there are 6 Norfolk Island pines. We were informed that 4 of the pines would have to be destroyed, removed. for the cabins to fit in, for the 15 cabins to fit on the site. The 4 trees that were indicated for destruction have a value of over $600,000 and, as indicated, approximately 100 years old. No, they're not heritage listed trees like other Norfolk Island pines in the city, but does that make them any less significant to our green canopy through the city or any less regarded because they are on Crown land managed by Warrnambool City Council? Was there an inclusive community consultation about the tree's demise? No, there was not. And we were told that this didn't have to happen, but personally I think it should have been put out further for community consultation. For me personally, being indicated that it was easier to cut the trees down so the precinct could go ahead, the project could go ahead, in my personal opinion, that was so wrong in many fronts. Desecrate these trees and they are gone forever. Additional external advice and talking between ourselves and briefings the last couple of weeks has given some more information and knowledge that retaining the trees and siting up to 15 cabins on this site can absolutely be achieved whilst taking care around the trees to do this, and when the time comes, choosing to the appropriate cabin accommodation designs to suit and fit the site. I think will be, well, once a tender goes out for this, we'll be surprised what can fit in there and how many cabins we can fit in and how many bedrooms can be accommodated in there. I feel that taking these amazing trees out without any thought for them and our community would be a devastating loss to our city.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Ziegler.
Thank you. Yes, I have to say that I'm incredibly gratified that we've had another month's chance to discuss this particular important issue further. And during that time, we've had the opportunity to make inquiries of independent workers. We've looked at it closely. We've had other opinions, and I have to say that I've had more community response about saving these trees than almost any other issue that I've had the experience with over my time in council. People view the trees as particularly important. And let's face it, it's partially those trees that make that particular area fairly attractive, and without them it's going to be a bleak alternative for any key worker that has to move here and make their life in what are effectively holiday cabins more difficult and less aesthetic. The fact that we can contemplate getting rid of the trees, to me personally, and that's not the issue because I'm representing people, other people, is anathema. We don't cut down those trees, particularly in council's efforts to retain as much vegetation canopy as we possibly can. I'm happy to support the alternative motion because it talks about retaining the trees. They're worth far more than what the monetary value of the tree is. They're worth far more to our culture, to our heritage, to our well-being, and more than happy to support the alternative motion.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Edis.
Thank you, Mayor. So last meeting, obviously the decision was to delay it for another month just to give us a time, and I can say that time's been well used because there's been a lot of thought, a lot of discussion between all in that within the last 4 weeks, and no one's denying, as council has said, there's no denying Warrnambool's got a critical housing shortage, and issues directly affected many professional organisations that simply cannot secure accommodation for their prospective staff, and the $5 million provided by the state government must be used to its fullest potential. But these Norfolk pines are iconic to Warrnambool, and their proposed removal has understandably caused some significant concern within the community. Shipwreck Bay, a lot of questions on why Shipwreck Bay. Shipwreck Bay has been identified as a suitable location given that they can serve as a holiday accommodation if they're not used during the summer period, but also that the state government's funding requirement is that affordable housing is for a minimum of 5 years, after which council can decide to transition the cabins into full-time holiday accommodation if the demand for affordable accommodation decreases. Core question for me has always been with this planning permit is whether we can meet the funding requirements of the 34 beds whilst maintaining the trees. Over the last 4 weeks, we spent a lot of time reviewing alternate cabin layouts, examining options to fit within the tree canopy, assessing foundation methods and to protect the trees, but all the roots and their root structure to determine their long-term health. We don't want to put them in and have anything happen to the trees afterwards. I'm very pragmatic when it comes to trees. I'm more lean to the practical side than the emotion. If a tree has to come down for safety or for genuine progress, then, or even a little bit of firewood, which we need now, that's sometimes necessary. But in this case, I genuinely believe they're viable options that can allow us to meet the 34-bed requirement, retain the full state funding because that's really important, but also preserve all the 6 Norfolk pines that hold significance to the community. I think this is just a really good opportunity for council to demonstrate that progress and preservation can coexist, that with some thoughtful design and commitment that Warrnambool can deliver this much needed housing but preserve the natural character of the city.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor. As Councillor Jelly has said, all of us as councillors recognise the importance of providing key worker housing in Warrnambool, and particularly with the support of a $5 million grant from the state government to help deliver this much needed project. So while I initially supported the removal of the Norfolk Island pines to achieve the best possible outcome, as my fellow councillors have said, with further investigation, it's been shown to me that we can deliver the same result without removing these trees. Now, I do take fully on board, I've changed my mind, but I actually was down there and stood amongst those trees and realised that, no, they just should not be removed, and we needed to find a different way of perhaps planning those cabins, or not so much the cabins, of getting the number of beds. It's about beds. Now, importantly, this project also provides long-term benefits for Warrnambool. After 5 years, the city will have the opportunity to transition these cabins into short-term accommodation, allowing them to be rented as holiday lets. Now, this does create an ongoing revenue stream for council, while continuing to support local tourism and economic growth. I'm pleased to support an approach that balances the immediate need for key worker housing, the preservation of our natural assets, and a sustainable future benefit for the Warrnambool community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the sentiment of everyone. It's truly a difficult decision, I think. Having to make a planning decision sans of a construction decision is pretty difficult. We're hypothetically talking about whether we can fit cabins under trees or not, and I've seen a plan that shows with the trees coming down. I'm yet to see fully worked details where this works, and that's where my concerns lie. We're talking additional cost. There will be additional cost. If anyone in this room thinks there's not going to be additional cost, they're kidding themselves. There'll be additional maintenance, which I'm sure everybody else is aware. So I'm not disappointed because trees are important. I absolutely don't doubt that. For me, the accommodation is way more important. Having been in a situation in other regions and needing accommodation such as this, when it doesn't exist, it is horrific. When you have to go and work somewhere where there's nothing available that you can afford, when you're already maintaining a property somewhere else, or you've got a family who lives 200-300 k's away from where you need to be for work, it's really, really difficult. So this project is fantastic. I absolutely 100% fully support this project. I'm cautious of the trees and the implications of that. We have seen a working documentation that shows how it will work. I'm interested to sit back and watch what happens. I really want this project to succeed, whether my view is what it is. So, yeah, grateful for the project to proceed, so happy to sit back and see what happens.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Councillor Benter, do you wish to have anything to close?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, thank you, fellow councillors, for all those comments regarding it. I'd also like to thank the people that come forward with the objections, because if those objections didn't come in, pardon me, we wouldn't be sitting here today talking about this, because it would have been straight through to the keeper. So that just shows that we are here listening to the community, to hear your voice, doesn't matter how big or small, in regards to projects or any issues you've got. Yeah, I'd just like to thank them again. I even received a phone call this morning regarding the trees, and we shouldn't be cutting them down. So it just continues on. Yeah, I think the balance between the two, yes, I fully acknowledge that this could reduce the cabins, yes, but I'm still confident with the outcomes that we can achieve that 34 in that. But that's my opinion in regards to that. We've done some other people have provided some planning and some drawings with that, so in regards to that. So, and the maintenance, yes, with some tree trimming and so forth, can minimise that, and some litter guard or gutter guard on the buildings, so in regards to that. But regardless of that, it's about the trees, and I don't believe that we should be removing those trees in regards to that, when we can work around it, drop a couple of cabins off and go for it. So thank you. Thank you, Councillor Benter. With no further speakers, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Ziegler, Councillor Jelly, Councillor Arnott, Councillor Reedus and Councillor Benter. All those against? Councillor Walsh and Councillor Blaine. The motion is passed 5-2. We'll now move on to item 7.10, the state of the assets. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. The State of the Assets report provides a snapshot of the condition of council-owned assets across 6 asset classes. The report shows the continued challenge of maintaining council's large asset base, and I think this is a really important piece of work. It provides the evidence and data to understand both our asset conditions, but will also hopefully be an influence on future decision-making and strategy. It's recommended that council receive the State of the Assets report.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Are there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the State of the Asset report be received.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Reedus. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. As a council collective, we were all for this being released publicly. I think this one, it's pretty stark. It shows the value of the assets that are held by council, and also the state at which they're in. So, as you'll see, we talked about obviously in our budget, and we're focusing on asset renewal. We have to focus on asset renewal. We have millions and millions of dollars of assets that if we don't put money into them, they will fail. The state government is a fantastic example of that with the roads. When you stop investing in infrastructure that you have, we all know what happens. So great transparency. Interested, obviously, if people do have any comments or feedback to provide around that when they do get the opportunity to see it. I'm sure they'll be blown away by the funding that we need over the next 10 years and what's sort of put towards the long-term financial plan to make sure that that all of these assets are maintained as best we can. Obviously, there's a balancing act between asset renewal and all the other things that we need to budget our money towards, and it's pretty stark. You'll see the funding shortfall, in particular in roads and buildings, is well north of $15 million. So we're not talking about pocket change when it comes to that. So happy to endorse this one to be received.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Councillor Reedus.
Thank you, Mayor. Just endorse what Councillor Walsh says. I think sometimes it's not I wouldn't say it's not forgotten, but it's probably just understated just how many assets the council does have. Like when you look at the report and see there's $1.1 billion worth of assets within the Warrnambool City Council that we've got to control and maintain. And that's, roads are the easy ones to look at and bridges, but you also look at playgrounds, parkland, buildings. It's just a huge job to maintain. And I think the report sort of shows that sort of we're in a good position at the moment with sort of over half being sort of very good to good, but as built, everything deteriorates, and we're in a seaside population where we have a harsh environment, so things deteriorate at a very great rate, and we get to that terrible phrase of renewal gap, where the money that it's going to take to maintain these is going to be far significant more than what we do have to provide the maintenance. So the report's really important because it just highlights exactly where the state of all the assets are at, what the priorities for maintenance and to ensure that council can maintain all our assets to the best of our ability.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Ziegler.
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. The state of the assets is really, the report does highlight a lot of stuff, and it's amazing just how much we do have in terms of asset around the place. And it's worth noting that when our residents ask us to provide another asset, it does relate to what it's going to cost from the future in terms of maintaining the asset and increasing that funding shortfall. The difference between asset maintenance and the asset itself. It's not just provision of the asset, but it's also maintaining the asset into the future that we have to consider. So,
thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Are there any other councillors wish to speak? I'd just like to add, it is, as Councillor Reid and Councillor Walsh and Councillor Ziegler have said, it is a really important report, and it really does show the asset renewal gap that we are facing as a council. And it has been a focus in this budget that we've put out for consultation earlier tonight, and it's going to continue to be a focus because, as Councillor Reid said, we've got over $1 billion worth of assets that we're trying to manage while managing the growth that we're seeing within our city as well to make sure that our city is actually livable. And yes, we do need to be looking after our assets here, but as we continue to see that growth, as we continue to move towards 50,000 people, we need more and more assets to make sure that we are that picturesque, livable city that we want to be able to see. And, you know, in the current environment, it's not something council can provide without the support of the state and the federal government to be able to do this. And I think that's a really key message here, that we want all our facilities to be 100%, you know, Mickey Mouse and right to go. The only way we're going to get that, though, is with support, and as we continue to build more and more assets, this is really what the state of the assets is showing. We have to be able to continue to support them. Councillor Walsh, do you wish to add anything to close?
Just one small bit. Obviously, what this also gives us as a council is really good data around our asset base. So we have a really good understanding of what we have, what we don't have, not so much, but like what that condition is, which is really, really important when it comes to decision making. So a power of work has gone into that. So I absolutely thank the team for all the work that they put into that. It's no small feat, and it'd be very apparent to people when they read it how many millions of dollars of things we have.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. With no further speakers, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to 7.11, the Cycling Reference Group minutes. Mr Mason.
Very simple report, Mayor. The Cycling Reference Group minutes are attached to be received.
Thank you. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the record of the Cycling Reference Group meeting held on Wednesday, 25 March 2026 be received.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Jolly. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. Obviously, at the March council meeting, we resolved a new cycling reference group. So we had some new members join us. So yeah, obviously, 25th of March was when we held this first meeting. Interesting to get some perspectives from some different areas of the cycling community. Some good conversation. There's lots of things that can be done in that vulnerable road user area. So some great conversation. I'm looking forward to the next meeting and starting to really explore some of those conversations more about how we can make the community really safe for people, in particular people on bikes.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Councillor Jelly?
Yes, thank you for Councillor Walsh, who's actually on this reference group. Thank you to the new people, the returning people, and some new ones that have come on board. Good to get their input as their users, road users, bicycle users. So they're the ones out there, and look forward to hearing some good input as time goes by. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Any other councillor wish to speak? And it is really exciting that we did put in the new members last month and you're getting new and fresh perspectives, because that's really what these groups are about. It's providing a different view to be able to help guide council decision making. Councillor Walsh, do you wish to add anything to close?
Yeah, just one thing, Mayor, which I failed to mention. There's some really good events coming in that cycling space. In particular, we're talking about the BMX championships. Huge. There was one held recently in, I'm pretty sure it was Queensland, and the number of people that attended is absolutely phenomenal. So I know that the club down here is angling to attract some of that down here. So I think that's really exciting. The more different types of events, in particular sporting events, that we can attract down here, the absolute better for the whole community. We know when they come, they stay, and then they want to come back. So it's good for us.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. With no further speakers, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.12, the informal meeting of council reports. The reports are there for everyone. Did anyone have any questions or changes? Do we have a mover? Councillor Edis?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move that the records of the informal meetings of council held on the 13th, 20th and 27th of April 2026 be received.
Thank you, Councillor Edis. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Jelly. Anyone wish to speak? We'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? That's passed unanimously. 7.13, Mayor and Chief Executive Officer Activity Summary Report. The summary report's there for everyone. Do we have any questions? Sorry, do we have a mover? Councillor Arnott.
I'll move that the Maryland Chief Executive Officer Council Activities Summary Report be received.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Benter. Anyone wish to speak? We'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Item 8, notices of motion. Mr Mason.
None for tonight's meeting, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mason. We'll now move on to item 9, general business. Did anyone have any general business they wanted to raise? Councillor Walsh.
Sorry, Mayor. I actually just want to correct myself from before. I said it was Queensland. It was actually Shepparton in Victoria. So I'm not sure where I got Queensland from. I was.
The next thing is Queensland.
Yeah, that might have.
The next
Because
one
my
is
grandson's
Queensland.
in it.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Sean
Yeah.
Sarley, the Mayor.
So I put my hand up for getting that wrong. So I apologise to Shepparton. It was Shepparton. We hope to have it at some stage soon. So if that could be corrected in the minutes around the cycling reference group, I would very much appreciate that.
No worries.
Thank
at
you,
all.
Mayor.
No worries at all, Councillor Walsh. Does anyone else have any other general business? Very good. Item 10, urgent business, Mr Mason.
None for tonight's meeting submitted.
All right, move on to item 11, close the meeting. Thank you very much. See you in June. Have a great time. Thank you.